Okay, wonderful. Hi everyone, my name is Ross Stensrud. I am the Chief Marketing Officer for Interactive Fitness. And Davis talked a little bit about the Front Porch Center for Innovation and Wellbeing and their philosophy. So I'll tell you a little bit about our philosophy at Interactive Fitness. It's actually really simple. We believe as a company that exercise should be fun, first and foremost. And sounds simple, but when you think about exercise, and cardio exercise in particular, how often do you equate that with fun? Well, we think you should. The next thing that we believe is that exercise should also be engaging, and that it's actually better to be engaged in what you are doing while you're exercising than it is to be distracted. And you talked about distraction as well, and music as a distraction. Well, music as an engagement tool is a lot better than as a distraction tool. And exercise, we believe, is the same way. And then, the third spoke of the wheel of our philosophy is that we believe that exercise, and particularly cardio exercise, can be a social activity. And it doesn't have to be one where you go in, you watch TV, you put your headphones on, you don't interact with anyone or anything like that. It can actually be a social and fun activity. And as a company, we build products for people who think like us, and we look for innovators and early adopters because you have to kind of have that attitude. And so what does one of these products look like? Well, this is the CyberCycle. And what it is it's a completely interactive exercise bike. And what I mean by that is that unlike a standard stationary bike where you just pedal, this one has an interactive screen on it where you'll see trails as you're riding. And you'll feel in the pedals of the bike what you're seeing on the screen. So as you're going uphill, you're going to feel that resistance change. It's just like riding outside. This bike, you're going to steer it just like you would an actual bike outside. So these levers on the side here are how you're actually going to steer. You lean into your turns a little bit. And you'll also shift it. So there's 30 gears on the CyberCycle. And as you're going uphill, if it gets a little too tough, you shift down. And the result of all of this is that you end up with a bike that is fun to ride, and you end up with a bike where you actually want to be paying attention to what you're doing, and you can't be watching TV or reading a book or distracting yourself because you don't want to go off course or anything like that. And so another element of this is that it is internet connected, which means that riders can track their progress, and they can also participate in fun and friendly individual and team-based competitions, which is incredibly powerful, and we'll get into that in a little bit here as well. And so I'll tell you really quickly, I want to talk about the history of the CyberCycle and how it came to be. Interactive Fitness as a company, we began in the general health space. We have another product that's also interactive that goes into gyms, YMCAs, general health clubs, and so on and so forth. About 3 years ago, Union College in New York asked to do a study on the effects of interactive exercise on seniors. And so what they did was they took our bikes and they made two groups. They took two groups of seniors, one where they had them ride the bike with a piece of cardboard over the screen, not interacting with it at all, just pedaling like you would a regular stationary bike. And then they took another group and they had them fully interact with the bike, meaning they were steering, they were shifting, they were riding with, chasing each other down, that kind of stuff as well. And the results of the study were really profound. This is kind of to be expected. So participation in exergaming compared to traditional exercise can lead to greater frequency and intensity and enhanced health outcomes. And in a nutshell, what they mean is that people were trying harder when they were interacting with the bike because it was fun, and they wanted to do it more. They didn't let them. They regulated for effort level and also the amount of time spent on the bike. But they found that this was one of the results. So better physical outcomes. The part that was really remarkable was that they saw a significant increase in brain function between the group that was interacting with their exercise as opposed to the group that was not. And it was the study lasted 3 months. Riders were riding for 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. And the group that was interacting with the bike saw a 23% reduction in progression to cognitive impairment, meaning they were 23% more mentally aware at the end of the 3-month study than the group that had just been exercising without the interactivity. So we were really excited when we found that out, and that was actually what led to the creation of the CyberCycle, were the results of that study. We transformed the previous product to kind of relate to the protocols of the study, and that was the creation of the CyberCycle. So Davis, I'm going to pop it back over to you here for a second to talk.
Sure. So we were really compelled by this independent study that was done on the CyberCycle, and felt this is really in alignment with really what we wanted to accomplish and find a solution that really worked for the communities that we're trying to work with. And so we started talking to them and wanted to see if we can kind of engage in a pilot program and how we can just test this out. And whenever Front Porch tests out a solution or a product, we really have an eye towards whether or not this is something that we feel that we can incorporate into our throughout this. It's important for us to kind of work very closely with a partner so that we can look for adjustments or changes, right? Sort of like new ways of using the technology to support the needs that come throughout the pilot process. So one of the great, we had a great partnership in going throughout this pilot, and we came up with a number of innovations and new ways of using the bike to kind of promote wellness and overall health.
Do you want me to pop into the video?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So this video that we're going to show here is one of the residents and participated in our first pilot.
Yeah.
And his name is Gary Groot. Well, actually, you'll learn more about him in this video.
It may look like an ordinary exercise bike, but Carlsbad by the Sea includes hand steering and a virtual reality game-like screen that challenges the mind and body.
Is stimulating. There is, for instance, a ghost rider. That is, the ghost rider is really your best performance you have done in history. And they show you that, and you try to beat yourself.
This is a whole movement called exergaming, and exergaming is really having fun and being engaged with technologies, and really focusing on health and wellness, but it's really focusing on the fun.
Residents of the retirement community in Carlsbad had the opportunity to participate in a pilot program using the bike and compete against another retirement community. Carlsbad by the Sea won the challenge. Gary Groot helped lead the way.
In my age category, I'm the best.
How old are you?
91.
91, nice.
Front Porch Retirement Communities, which runs Carlsbad by the Sea, is purchasing CyberCycles for its other locations after seeing great success with the pilot program.
Well, one lady in particular that never exercises at all and is against exercise, but she loves the brain exercises, so she was intrigued by the CyberCycle for that reason, and we got her down here. To get her down here once was an achievement. Down here a couple times a week, and didn't ride too far, but for her it was a big accomplishment. So
For Patch, I'm Deanne Goodman.
All right. Let's see. There we go.
So in as far as the specifics of the pilot went, we wanted to engage 2 communities with a CyberCycle, and we wanted to do this over a span of 7 weeks. We had a very, very specific outline in terms of what we were going to be competing for in those 7 weeks. And we enrolled 19 riders in the program over 2 communities. 3 of them had withdrawn, but we really sustained 16 riders throughout the pilot. And in that video, it was noted, I really need to kind of reiterate one of the story she was telling about one of the residents who had not exercised in 25 years. And she got on this bike, and she was engaged, and she was really a part of a very important part of our program and our learnings as well. And yeah, and then so these are the results of the study that we had produced, and we shared this with our other communities as well.
Yeah, so what we did is we looked at week 1 of the study and compared it to week 7. So 7 weeks later, how did the 16 people that completed the pilot do? What we saw was that they got faster on the bike. They started out riding at 10 1/4 miles an hour, By week 7, they were going at 10.79 miles an hour, so they had improved by 5% approximately in terms of speed. But there was also an improvement in efficiency, and this is actually really cool. Efficiency is a measure of power over heart rate. And so it's kind of how hard are you working to achieve the same thing is what that means. And so it basically is a good indicator of your fitness level. And of the 16 riders that participated, 11 of them improved their efficiency. 3 of them maintained. There was only 1 rider over the 7-week trial that did not improve or maintain efficiency. That's 88% of the people that were riding saw improvements. And then if you look at the efficiency as a group, so if you took all of the riders and all of their efficiency, the 16 riders that got through the pilot, they were 20% more efficient after the 7-week program than they were to begin, which was really, really remarkable. And what does that look like? It looks awesome, as you can tell here. This is Carlsbad by the Sea, team Carlsbad. They're called the Cyber Crew, and this is them celebrating. And this is the Walnut Village Vikings celebrating as well after the end of the pilot. So it was a lot of fun. But what was also neat about it is that what we've seen post-pilot is that the riding level has been sustained. So there hasn't been a dip. It wasn't like we went through the pilot and it just fell off a cliff or anything like that. The people that were riding are riding now as much as they were or more than ever before. And so Davis and I were talking about this, and what's the secret sauce? How do you create a sustained wellness program? What are the key ingredients? So we have the Front Porch, the wellness hot sauce here. And we'll go through the ingredients. And I think that we've identified 6, and I think that these 6 ingredients really incorporated into any wellness program are going to produce good results. And we'll talk about how they related to the one that we were doing in particular. So here are the 6 key ingredients. Number 1 is competition. And it's such a powerful thing, and it's so often overlooked. But if you can disguise your wellness program as fun and competitive, then people will want to participate. It's not just a wellness program to be a wellness program. It's a fun, competitive wellness program. And a key part of that is that you can do this in a way that is team-oriented. And we call this team cardio. But if you can put people on a team together, that brings an element of socialization into it. It brings an element of accountability into it that you don't have with an individualized wellness program. And that's what we did here. Each of the challenges that we did throughout the pilot each week, they were all team-based. And you could also compete individually, but that team aspect of it was really important. It helped, like I said, help keep people motivated, keep them accountable, and they wanted to do it. They didn't want to let their team down, And so the third key ingredient, and this was actually a learning process for me, because when we started the program, at the end of each day, I would compile the results, and then I would send it to Front Porch, and I would send it to the 2 communities. And if I hadn't done that by about 8:30 in the morning, which is early for me, not necessarily for a lot of others, but I would get calls, I would get emails, how do we do yesterday? How do we do? And so what we came up with was we created a system where that provides live feedback. So as soon as the rider is done riding, we have a live leaderboard, and they can see those miles or whatever we were competing on in that program, go towards their team totals and go towards their individual totals. And so what that looks like is the CyberCycle League here, and this is actually now we have more Front Porch communities than we did before participating, but these are all the teams, so Frederica Inner, Walnut Village, Carlsbad, Vista Del Monte, and then there's actually Claremont Manor as well, and then on the individual level you have this as well. So these are the top riders. You can see them and the miles that they have traveled in this particular contest, and also the age range. So you'll see it's remarkable. Men and women, 60s to 90s, all over the board. They all participate in these programs. It's really great. So that's kind of a little view of, or a half view of the individual leaderboards that we came up with as a result of this pilot. And Davis, I'm going to pass it back over to you, the last three ingredients.
Yeah, and so we felt that it was really important to kind of mix it up because they had told us we don't want to do the same old staid course. And how many courses are there now?
There are actually 43 courses on the CyberCycle. There are 9 that are very easy to get to. And then there's a way to dive in even further than that. Yeah.
So one of the great things about the CyberCycle challenges is that we had in each week we provide a new challenge. So one week it was about how many miles you could travel. Another one was about how many calories you burn. And so each week was a different competition. People were demanding these. I mean, it's like, well, how, we should have different age groups, because the ones that Gary Groot, who's 91 years old, he's killing everybody. So we got to get the younger groups, younger players on board. And then there are chase points as a video game type of ride. There are a lot of people who are really engaged with. Some people would only ride that one. And so the variety was really important in getting people like continuing to come back and continuing to be a part of the program.
Yeah.
And recognition was really important too. So we had those first 2 pilot communities engage in those competitions. At the end, the winner got a plaque and everyone got certificates. And we're in the process of developing a perpetual plaque. And this plaque is going to be like a Stanley World Cup. It's going to travel from one community to another, whichever one had won that particular competition.
Yeah.
So recognition is really important, and also individually inspired incentives. Gary Groot, the one who was featured in that video, he was he wanted to really get his team involved, and so he put up a bottle of wine to see which one would beat him. And so he was trying to get his other teammates inspired as well. Now, it's kind of important for us to mention the fact that, in getting people engaged in the competitive aspect of this activity was that it was really important for people to feel like they were inclusive or feel like they're included as part of a team, and not to call people out if they were not performing as well as the others. And so one of the things that we found, we just want people on the bike. We just want to get them out of their homes and out and about and exercising. And we found that some people were biking. One of the things that the CyberCycle does is that you can enter your maximum heart rate.
Correct.
So when you approach your maximum heart rate, then the CyberCycle, there are all these warnings, and there are riders who are getting on the bike, and they were just like riding, and the warning sound come up, and the wellness director would come and say, hey, you need to calm down. You need to stop it. I gotta go for my team, and they just keep on biking, right? And so they start biking despite themselves. And this is one of the great things that we found that really worked within the Front Porch communities. Is this team competitive aspect.